Hello, my friends. Master Sommelier Peter Neptune here with an episode of my YouTube channel. As always, thanks for watching. Thanks for thumbs up. Thanks for subscribing. Thanks for telling your friends. Keep them coming, and I'll keep them coming. Here's yet another request, and I do appreciate the requests, and I will try to get to them all because it makes me think less. So today's episode is on the Spanish wine region Ribera del Duero, literally the banks of the Duero River. The Duero River is a big river that runs from central Spain all the way west to, it becomes the Douro River, where it has the vineyards of Oporto. Episode coming up on that as well. And finally lets out into the Atlantic Ocean there. So the Ribera del Duero area was planted by the Romans. It was tended to by medieval monks who had some monasteries in the area. And it received international acclaim beginning in the 19th century. A very famous producer called Vega Sicilia began blending together Bordeaux varietals with the local grape Tinto Fino, aka Tempranillo. It's a clone of Tempranillo found in this area. And, you know, look, this is a very, very special place. I mean, Vega Sicilia is undoubtedly the Grand Cru, the great growth of Spain. It's the greatest wine in Spain. Their top wine is called Único, and it's absolutely brilliant wine. One of the great, probably 20 wines in the world. The altitude is very high here. It's, you know, my goodness, 2,000 to 3,000 feet above sea level, with a combination of clay and calcareous marl, with river rocks. It can be 100 degrees during the day in the growing season, but it can go down to 50 degrees at night. Huge diurnal swings, keeping natural acidity in the grapes, prolonging the growing season, achieving total ripeness. Alcohols are usually pretty high, 14.5 to 15 in this area. The key varietal is Tinto Fino. They do allow white and rosé wines as well, but the red wines have to be minimum 75% Tinto Fino with up to 25% approved varieties such as Cabernet Sauvignon, Merlot, Malbec, Garnacha. Do they allow Monastrell? I don't remember, but you can allow other varietals. Most of the growers in the area sold their grapes to Vega Sicilia. In the 1970s, a guy named Alejandro Fernandez created a revolution in the area. He began bottling 100% Tinto Fino, and he called the wine Tinto Pesquera. His vineyards are located in the Pesquera region of the area, and he just created a revolution. Growth followed. By the 1990s, a guy named Peter Cecel had established Domino de Pingus in 1995, and that wine is probably, you know, the second best known wine, along with Hermite in Priorat, of the Spanish reds. I mean, Pingus costs what, $800 a bottle? Very expensive wine. He introduced new French oak and the idea of barrique aging to these wines. I actually have a Domino de Pingus wine, their entry-level wine called Sai, which we'll taste second. So I got 3 different price points of Ribera del Duero, and I thought it'd be fun. You know, the wines have to be aged in oak, no more than 330 liters. So most producers are using a combination of French and American oak in the 225-liter barrique situation, in varying degrees of new versus old. First up, these wines are all from High Time Wine Cellars in Costa Mesa. Shout out. Hello, everybody. First up, Rubiejo, Ribera del Duero Barrica. You know, más de 9 meses en barrica. So 9 months in 70% French and 30% American oak. I don't know what the percentage new is. We'll see if we can detect it on the nose or on the palate. This is a deep ruby purple. Can I do that? Crimson, you know, magenta. It's definitely purpley ruby. Sorry, everybody. But it's got a deep color here. On the nose, this is 100% Tempranillo. So on the nose, we get a lot of saturated both black and red fruit. So I've got black cherry, a little bit of cassis, There's some red cherry, a little bit of strawberry, wild strawberry. There's some violets here. There is a hint of oak, so a hint of toast, a hint of perhaps just a hint of vanilla, and a lifted floral character, which is quite attractive. This wine's $14.99. So man, Ribera del Duero for $14.99. Let's check out the palate. Dry. Acidity, medium plus. Tannin, medium plus. Very chewy, approaching high. Grippy, chewy tannin. Alcohol's high, body is full, intensity is pronounced. That's a lot of wine for $14.99. I did an episode on Barbera, and I said, boy, these wines would have benefited from a decant. And right off the bat, I'm telling you, this wine would benefit from a decant about an hour, maybe 2 hours ahead of time. That's a lot of wine for $14.99, man. A lot of saturated dark fruit, finishes long, very good quality wine, and a really saturated, just ripe, dark cherry, dark plum, black currant, herbs, little hint of chocolate, little hint of vanilla bean, and very good wine for the price point. Man, that's just a lot of wine for that kind of money. We're talking lamb chops, we're talking lamb shank, we're talking, a culotte steak. This needs some red meat, some venison, something like that. But that's real good wine for $15. Wow, it's like whoa. And you know what I love is that there's just this hint of oak. I review some of these wines from Northern California or Central California, and there's just too much oak on the wines. I don't know what producers are thinking with this just overt kind of weird oaky thing that dominates the wines. Here, there's just a hint. It's like just using salt in cooking, where you use too much, you don't use enough, bland. And there's just a hint. You almost wouldn't notice it. If you're used to, some of these big brand Napa Cabernets, you'd think that this wine has no oak at all, and it might be too dry for you, But I like it a lot. Next up, I'm really stoked to try this. I have never tried this wine, and I got a request. Somebody specifically said, could you please taste and review the Pingus Psi? So the Greek letter. That's why the grapevine looks like that. The Greek letter Psi, P-S-Y. This is $29.99. This is from the great Domino de Pingus. Biodynamic. This is 90% Tempranillo, Tinto Fino, 10% Garnacha, sourced from old vines, grown in calcareous soils, aged up to 16 months in mostly 330-liter French barrels. So I'm really, I can't wait to try this because, a bottle of Pingus or even their second wine, the wines are expensive. I mean, Pingus's second wine is over $100 a bottle. So this is $30. This is a deep ruby in color, for sure. On the nose, very sanguine, bloody, iron-rich. Iron-rich blood. This would be great for Dracula. Again, that Tempranillo nose. What is it about Tempranillo? It's this wild strawberry, a kind of curranty cassis character. There's a dark kind of black raspberry character. It's almost like a combination, again, of black and red fruits. Again, wafting over the top, a little hint of dried herbs, a little hint of almost Iberican ham, jamón ibérico. And then that brings to mind almost a paprika character of spice. And I don't think I've ever said that before with a wine. And that's a new one for me. So this really exotic spice character. What a beautiful nose. Again, it's kind of dark florals, violets across. Um, but it's just got a really nice, elegant character to it, and it's beguiling wine on the nose, on the palate. Dry, acidity, medium plus, tannin, medium plus. Alcohol is high, body is full, intensity is pronounced. Very elegant wine. At the same time, a lot of tannin and a lot of power. It's like the iron fist in the velvet glove, right? There's a lot of power here, but a lot of elegance. There's not a lot of fruit saturation. It's actually very subtle. I like the wine a lot. It's very elegant. It's almost more Bordeaux-like in its kind of black currant, and it's almost a lot of non-fruit. A lot of dried herbs, there's even like lead pencil, this kind of paprika character, toasty, smoky, tarry. I think this would really benefit from a decant, but it's got, this kind of black currant character as well. Very good wine. Again, would benefit from a real splash decant. There's a hint, it's a 2021, so there's a hint of a little dried fruit here, and even hay or straw in the background, and a little bit of earthy kind of dried clay pot or potting soil and in a clay pot. Very good wine, very elegant, and yet powerful. Iron fist in the velvet glove. That's a perfect descriptor of that wine. $29.99. Splash decant, folks. Up next, 2010 Tinto Pesquera, the famous Alejandro Fernandez, 100% Tempranillo, Reserva Especial, $54.99. They only make this wine in very, very special vintages. They do not make this wine every vintage. In fact, it's my understanding of two times a decade they'll make this wine. This year was significant for the Fernandez Rivera family. It was this marks the birth of their first vintage 35 years before 2010, back in 1975, when he first revolutionized. Check this out. I mean, back in 75, there were probably 5 wineries. Now there's over 300 in Ribera del Duero. I mean, think about the massive change that has happened in this area in Spain. This was an excellent vintage, 2010. And they held back a small lot with the intent of aging this wine and releasing a special edition wine. So this is, altitude 800 meters above sea level. This was, like Bordeaux, the rank of excellent was given to this by the Consejo Regulador. So like Bordeaux, where you had 2009 and 2010, back-to-back, just ridiculously great vintages, the same thing happened in Ribera del Duero. So this was aged 24 months in 225-liter French oak barrels and then aged in the bottle before releasing. I haven't tasted this wine. I've tasted previous iterations of Reserva Especial. And so I really, really am looking forward to tasting this wine. This is a very, very dark ruby core fading to a deep garnet at the rim. So we clearly have some age, but that's deep, deep ruby at the core and deep garnet on the rim. We might be looking at something really great here. What a nose. Oh man, this is just beautiful. Saturated cherry jam, cherry confiture, saturated raspberry. There's currant, there's plum, there's violets, there's Hawaiian flowers. There's a hint of vanilla and a hint of toast. There's a parchment paper, dried rose petals. There's potting soil, mushroom, orange peel, lemon peel. It's fantastic. It smells like really good red wine, with 15 years of age on it. Man, that's just absolutely gorgeous nose. Absolutely haunting. Absolute beautiful perfume on the palate. Dry. Acidity, medium plus. Tannin, medium plus. Alcohol's high. Body is full. Intensity is pronounced. Finish is very long. And that's just an outstanding bottle of wine. Bravo. Beautiful palate presence, elegant yet powerful. It's got a lot of tertiary dried flowers, dried old high school yearbook in a cedar chest, cedar, sawdust, dried fruit, dried violets, incredible persistence, beautiful length, very saturated. Again, this would benefit from a 1 hour, 2 hour decant. I would just love to just do some rack of lamb, herb crusted, some papas fritas, a little bit of some Brussels sprouts with pancetta. And this wine, elegant, absolutely calls for the best cut of meat. Really, really long, savory finish. That's outstanding wine. Highly recommended. $54.99. Look, you pay a lot more for a lot less wine. So that's really, really great. Outstanding wine. Bravissimo. So that's a look at Ribera del Duero, an area in the Castilla y León area in Spain, and this is a really fantastic growing area for the Tempranillo grape. So thank you everybody very, very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed the episode. I sure enjoyed tasting these wines. We found some really lovely stuff at 3 very different price points. So I'll see you next time.